Welcome back to the Blue Collar Trade Show, where real people share real stories about building, fixing, leading, and living with purpose. I'm Troy, and I'm here with the crew, Chad, Jim, Marissa. Each week we dig into lessons, have laughs, and hard-won wisdom from the folks who keep America running. Let's get into it. All right, welcome to the Blue Collar Trade Show, everybody. Thank you. Mr. Dave Borowski is joining us today. So, woo, Dave! Woo! All right, so Dave, I have known Dave for a long time. I can't even, probably 15, 16 years at least,
probably
right?
almost 20 years, right?
Yeah, at least. And then Chad, you've known each other a long time. Jim, so we've all known each other. Marissa just met Dave a few minutes ago. So,
yes,
but it's all good. So I'll tell you. So I was thinking about this morning. So Dave, there's two guys that I know in my life that are extremely passionate about air conditioning, almost unbelievably passionate about air conditioning.
And they're both on this call.
Right?
Yeah.
At the same time, right? So I don't know that this has ever happened before.
Isn't
right?
that magical?
So it's like the Pope and Mother Teresa all in the same room. So you pick which is which.
I think
it's funny,
Chad is
you
Mother
said-
Teresa.
Oh, of course. I knew somebody would say it. I didn't expect it from you.
I love how you say that, Troy. You said that all of us have known Dave forever, except Marissa. Marissa just met Dave. Marissa's the only person Dave's going to remember from this call.
7 minutes strong. We're going. Me and
There you
Dave.
go.
So let
She
me
might-
just tell you how right you are, Troy, about what you just said. So how I met Dave, and I don't know if you remember this, Dave, but it's been between 15 and 20 years ago. There was a air conditioning company in Melbourne, Florida that had an issue with a furnace that nobody could figure out. So guess who they called? Not just
you?
me, not just Dave, me and Dave.
Oh, really?
You remember that, Dave?
I do remember it.
And did we get it figured out?
Of course we did.
Of course.
Who was right? Who figured it out?
Yeah, who takes most of the credit?
It was a joint effort, but we were both
50-50? Or there was, it had been, it couldn't have been 50-50.
as I remember, I think Dave was running interference with the customer, and I was the one doing the troubleshoot. Is that right, Dave?
A little bit of both, yeah.
So
All right. So you two are very passionate. Chad's been doing air conditioning and fixing things, mostly breaking things and then fixing things since he was a young lad. Tell us your story, Dave, a little bit. So not, from the day you were born or anything, but what got you into the trades and all, where did this all start? Because this has been going on for a long time.
WW2 or something. I mean, how far back are we going here?
Yeah, we're not going back to Jim's time. Yeah.
Nice.
Well, I got into the trades back I actually finished trade school I think it was 1970. And I was hired right out of trade school by Lennox. And I thought I knew everything there was to know. I thought I was really good. I was a hot shot, right? That's when you're in trouble, when you think you're a hot shot, right? And they hired me, and this was in the day that Lennox had their own gas and oil reps. And I came out of tech school, and they sent me to their tech school for 9 months up in DeKalb County, Georgia, right at Stone Mountain, and to learn gas and oil. And I know gas and oil after that. They taught me everything there was to know about gas and oil. So Lennox had a program where if you became a Lennox contractor, they would give you a guy. They would give you tech support. And I actually roamed the country. I've been in probably damn near every state in the union where they would set up a new Lennox dealer, and I would go there to work for them. But I was a combination technical support and business support, because oftentimes what you guys, I'm sure, have found also to be the case is that contractors are pretty good at fixing stuff, but they're pretty bad at business. And I would actually go in there and I would say, okay, well, let me see how you're doing your pricing. Where's your P&L? What's going on here? And I'm telling you, I've been to places where they've handed me a shoebox of receipts and said, well, we really don't do a P&L, but here's our stuff for this month. And it
It wasn't in
shoebox
Fort
full.
Pierce, was it? I'm just kidding.
It was It was gas receipts and stuff like that. And you're going, oh my God. And these guys, they had no concept of pricing or cost or margin. They didn't even know if they were making money. And in most
And you're
cases,
noticing this as a young lad out of trade school?
yeah, it was horrific. It was just horrific. I had to do a lot of building 101 with these businesses, show them how to price jobs, show them how to pay their people, how to set their commission structures. I mean, everything there was about running the business side of the business. So I would travel with these companies as they put new ones on, and I was in for part of the action. I got a small commission off their purchases going forward. And that was a good gig for a young man without a family, because I was moving all over the country. And then eventually, one of the companies I was working for in Clearwater, Florida, said, "Hell, you ought to just be buying this company." And I said, "I don't know if I want to do that."
How old are you at this point? At that
Oh,
on that?
I was probably 24.
Okay, all right.
Okay,
That's
and
Marissa. That's how old Marissa is. Just kidding.
Huh? He said no. He said she's not. How old am I, Dave?
I was guessing 19.
Closer.
Yeah,
Very
thank
good.
you.
Nice job, Dave. He still has it. He
Marissa,
still
take
has
it.
it.
He's still
All right.
got it.
You're 24 in Clearwater.
So I said, well, I don't know. I said, I'm kind of interested, but show me what's going on. They said, well, here's the books. And I said, okay, well, that's pretty cool. And this guy had an airplane and boats. And I mean, he was making more money than God, right? And he said, but let me show you the real books. So this guy's running 2 sets of books, right? You know, oh
Nice.
God, you know, it was just such it was crazy. It was crazy city. So I took over the business, and it did really, really, really well. I
You
had
took over the business like you bought it, or you started working for him? You bought it?
no, I bought the business from him,
Okay. Okay. All
and
right.
it did really well. I finally got it up to, we were doing about, maybe 12 million a year.
Wow.
Okay, so we were really rocking and rolling. I had about 9 techs, 2 install crews, and we were doing really well. And things, in fact, it was crazy. I was making so much money. It was sinful. And this, you're going to think I'm pulling your leg when I tell you this. I had to keep getting bigger safe deposit boxes at the bank to put money in. Okay, because
Dang.
people would pay you in cash. I mean, I'd be getting paid cash, $5,
Yeah.
$10, $20,000 for a job, and I'd say okay, and I just kept putting it in a safe
Yeah.
deposit box. The bookkeeper
All
would
the
come to
New
me at
York
the end of the
Mafia
week.
money in the 70s down in Clearwater.
So the bookkeeper would come to me at the end of the week and say, "Listen, we need 5,000 for payroll or 10,000 for payroll," and I'd go down to the bank and I'd give her more money. And now the company owed me more money because now it was on the books. Now it was a loan. So it was just insane. So
Wow.
things went really well like that, and learned some really valuable lessons, like don't work with your family. That's rule number 1. Okay, that's
Who
never
did you
worked
work
out.
with? Which family member did you?
My younger brother, you know,
Okay.
the problem is there's always a disorientation in work ethic, and he didn't have any. So
Well, neither did the guy you bought it from, it sounds like. So
well,
He said, I love it. He was making so much money. And he says, I learned a couple valuable lessons when I got out of prison. We,
yeah, that's those 4 years missing on my resume.
right. Yeah.
But I had a lifestyle change. I became in the meantime, on the personal side, I met a great girl, and started a young family, and things were going really well. But I had a lifestyle change. My first wife died, and all of a sudden I was a single dad of a 3-year-old and a 1.5-year-old. And that was crazy city. I got to tell you, I learned that
Sure.
alone, I should write a book about, because the lessons learned there. I'm not saying this to placate Marissa or the women in the audience, but I don't know how women do it as single moms. I swear to God, I do not know how they do it. I mean, first off, they make crap money. They don't have the flexibility of, oh, I'm going to be working from home
Whoa.
today.
She works for me, Dave.
Wait,
She's
wait,
doing
Marissa's
okay.
Marissa's a single mom. And I think
Marissa,
she
Yeah,
gets
I think
paid
that little girl.
extremely well.
Marissa, you should whatever you're getting paid. You
Keep it down, Dave. Keep
Got
it
it.
down,
I'll
Dave.
take the notes.
well,
Troy says,
one of
Finish
the
the
says
story,
it's a
Dave.
wrap. We're done.
one of the first lessons I learned is there's two kinds of childcare out there: really bad and about to be really bad. Those are the only two that exist. Okay, just horrific, and I couldn't be a contractor and be a single parent. I just couldn't pull it off because as a contractor, if you're really taking care of business, you're there at 6, 7 in the morning, and you're certainly there at 6, 7, 8, 9 o'clock at night, catching a call on the way home or an estimate or putting out
Counting
some
your money.
fires somewhere. And so that didn't work. So I sold that business and went to work for Raytheon. And
Did you sell it with the real books, or did you have the cookbooks? Which way? How did you sell it?
I sold it with the real books, and
Oh, there you
I
go.
made
Okay,
I made a couple of bucks on it.
there you
The
go.
but I couldn't find, as I was saying, I couldn't find childcare, and I was having dinner with a friend of mine. I said, I don't know what the hell I'm going to do. I go to pick up the kids, and one would have a bite mark, the other one's missing a sneaker, and you go, what the
Aw.
hell is going on here? I mean, it was pandemonium, and it was insane. And my friend said, I know a girl that teaches school. Maybe she'd watch your kids in the summertime. I said, well, for God's sake, she's more qualified than I am. So I gave her a call. I said, look,
I
I'm
don't even
not an
know her.
axe murderer or anything weird like that. I just got 2 kids. And if you'll watch them, I'll pay you, because I was paying at the time like $600, $700 a week, for
Oh,
childcare.
It's expensive.
oh,
And she said, okay. And she'd come over at 6, 7 in the morning, and she'd take them to Girl Scouts or haircuts or to the science center or to the beach or whatever the deal of the day was. And I'd get home 6, 7, 8, 9 o'clock at night, and they'd either be in the pool or in the tub or at the dinner table. And she'd kiss them on the head, and she's gone. And that went on for a year or two. And then the kids are going, well, isn't Diana going to grandma's with us for Thanksgiving? I said, well, sure. So then Diana was doing family things with us. Then I was dating Diana. And then Diana
Ooh.
wasn't going home when I got home. And
And then you got home at 4 o'clock every
And
day.
that
Yeah.
that
lived
so
happily
I
ever
married the nanny
There you
and
go.
and had 2 more sons.
God bless
So
America. Don't you
yeah,
love
Yeah,
it?
that's cute
it
though.
it had a happy ending. It was the best that, it was some really bad times, but it worked out okay. So I
Yeah.
went to work for Raytheon, and this is in the days that Raytheon owned Amana Refrigeration. Now, Raytheon is the world's largest defense company. Okay, when there's a war, they're making money. Okay, because they're
Mhm.
building rockets, and they build the Tomahawk and the Minuteman missiles and all that kind of stuff. So they wanted to balance out their business flow, because when there was no war, they needed to make money. So they went into the home services business, and that is they made the Amana appliance line. So I worked for Amana for, almost 20 years. And what a Amana owned by Raytheon, and what a great training event that was, because when I look back on it, what they taught me in ethics and accountability and deliverables, I should have been paying them. I mean, for that kind of training. It was really a remarkable outfit to work for. And I loved it. And but they decided to get out of the home business, the home industries business, and they got us all together. And I gotten to a really good job. I was the VP for the East Coast, so I had everything from Boston to Miami. Not Miami, because Miami's a big export business. And it went really well. And they said, well, we're going to be selling the business. They want to get you together and let you know what's going on. And they got us all together, and they said, yeah, we just sold the business to Goodman. Now, I had just spent 20 years bad mouthing Goodman.
Yeah.
I know how it is.
And they deserved it. And so now all of a sudden I found out that I'm working for them. So that was kind of special. But and it didn't really work out. Our interest did not lie in the same direction. So I left there and went to work for a consolidator. It was Group Mac out of Texas. and Group Mac was buying up companies left and right. And they said, well, you know how to run companies. You know how the business is supposed to be done. I said, well, that's true. They said, well, great. That's what we want. We want you to run our companies. So I got 6 companies in Florida and did really well with them. And it was all huddled up into Wellspring, which was a holding company in New Jersey. And it went really well. And we were making a bucket of money. And that's where I met Eric Salzer.
Okay.
Eric Salzer is a prince of a man. He's forgotten more about business than all of us together. He's just incredibly smart guy. But he runs Airtron, which is only the nation's largest new construction company. And they know how to make money. I mean, they print money at the Airtron stores.
They're still very tight with their money. We were.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's amazing how they squeak it out with those kind of margins.
You do squeak it out. Yeah.
They do squeak it out. So, but I was lucky enough to work with talent like Eric Salzer and Steve Becker and some of those folks. And lo and behold, a company called Direct Energy came out of the blue. And Direct Energy is they're the largest utility in the United Kingdom. And, they want it to grow. And when you grow a business, you can grow a business either by hard work and some, guerrilla marketing and just toughing it out, or you can just start acquiring stuff. Well, they had a bucket of money, so they just started acquiring stuff. So they came to the United States. They bought up all the Wellspring holdings, which included Airtron and all the companies that I had. And everything was just fine. We were still making lots of money and taking care of a lot of customers. It was very rewarding. And then I got a visit from one of the executives at Direct Energy, Eddie Collier. Did you ever meet Eddie Collier?
I did. Yeah, he's a good guy.
Yeah,
I did.
yeah, he's a good guy. So I got a visit from him here in Florida, and he says, "Hey, I'm just in your neighborhood. I thought I'd have dinner with you," which wasn't like around the corner. He happened to be in the neighborhood. For God's sake, he came from England.
Yeah.
So
Right, yeah.
So I'm having dinner with him. He says, yeah, I'm going up the street here and I'm going to talk to some people in the business. I said, wait a second. You're going up to see Jim Abrams up at Clockwork, aren't you? He goes, oh, yeah, it's a great company. We're going to buy them. They're a great marketing company. I said, oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
So that's how you and I got together, Troy, and we got to meet each other.
Right.
So Direct Energy bought all the Clockwork companies. So that was all the 1 Hour Airs, all the Mr. Sparkies and Ben Franklins, the franchise end of it, and the companies that were privately held. There was a handful of those. What was there, maybe 6 or 8 privately held ones, Troy?
I think there was 9, wasn't
I
there?
don't remember.
9?
It changed, but yeah, something like that. Yeah.
And and of course, there was always changes going on, and they wanted us to rebrand our trucks and all that good stuff, which I still think that was a bad move. I think that was more about somebody's ego in a boardroom than it was a business decision.
Yeah.
Because to flush away 35, 40 years worth of branding, you went through that, Chad, with Vans.
Oh yeah.
You walked away from what, 35 years of marketing.
Yeah.
Just walked away from it.
Yep. A lot of confusion it creates in the market, that's for sure.
Yeah, it was just
They took a hit. They took
Yeah,
a
it
hit.
was a
They even
train.
lost it. They even dropped the legacy name from the brand name.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's all about somebody's boardroom ego, because that's just the definition of stupid, to walk away from a good business model. So I went to work. So all of a sudden I'm a Clockwork kind of guy, and things were doing really well. And I got a visit from Scott Boos, who obviously really well,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
But Scott Boos and one of the controllers came down and went through the books, and of course everything was fine. And they said, well, let me tell you why we're really here. You've got the best net promoter scores in the country. You've got the highest margins in the country and the lowest callback rate in the country. I said, what are you doing? I said, well, I'm telling you now, I'm not sending them to your sales school. Okay. So, I'm old enough that I can get away with that shit, right?
Yeah.
I said, I said, what I'm doing is I'm empowering my people. I'm training them. I'm holding them accountable to take care of the number one goal, and that is take care of the customer. Because if you're not taking care of the customer, I don't give a damn what you're doing. It's not, you're wasting, you're not doing business if you're not taking care of the customer.
Yeah.
Right.
So I said, so that's what I'm doing. He says, wow. He says, can you do that for the rest of the country? I said, well, I'm going to need help. He says, that's your new job. So they created a job for me. They niched it out of the clockwork company. So I was their director of training for the clockwork companies.
Okay.
And
Direct
had a really
coordinator
good time.
of care.
I thought it was a good move, and I was insanely jealous that I didn't get approached for it. But I was pretty young guy.
Well, I was working with some incredibly talented people that made me look good, and had some real fortune. And Jim, that's where you and I worked together on so many new enterprises coming out of the ground, and
Right.
even ones that had started to lose their way, and just weren't making money. They would send Jim and I in there and say, just what the heck's going on? So Jim and I would huddle up and we'd go into some of these troubled locations, typically franchise, that just weren't making money. And franchises are a tough nut because franchise people by nature are all type A personalities. So they're smart people, but they look at something and go, I like it. I'll use this piece. No, stop.
Yeah.
You can't use that piece. You got to use it all.
If you ever crack that code, Dave, you'll be even richer than you already are, right? Getting people to do what to use the systems, right?
Yeah, use the system.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. And you guys, you kicked it out of the park. So then Direct Energy ran it for a little while, but then what happened? So because that all changed, then what?
Well,
6 years ago,
Direct
right?
Energy, you're right, Troy. Direct Energy decided not to be in the home services business anymore. They sold everything to authority brands.
Mm-hmm.
And everything was, it's the typical corporate lie. Oh, everything's going to stay the same.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, it didn't. And and quite frankly, and I'm bearing my soul here. So I got a phone call. I was out in Utah. I was actually on vacation, but I was still doing training. I figured, what the hell? I'm in a different time zone. Nobody's going to miss me anyway. So I was still doing the training because I was in a different time zone. So my phone kept blowing up. I kept getting phone calls one after the other. I kept hitting do not disturb, and it just wouldn't stop. And I figured, oh my God, maybe my house is on fire. I should answer this call. So I answered the call, and it was the CEO of Authority Brands. And he says, hey, I'm the CEO of Authority Brands, and you're not, you don't work here.
You're
not. I looked at my phone. It took them, I think it was like 42 seconds to fire me. And it was the first time I've been fired in my whole life. And I was crushed. I can honestly say I'm still not quite over it.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it wasn't for lack of performance or any of those characteristics. It was just that that business model doesn't train and build companies. They just kind of buy and sell companies.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So it was a different business model that I wasn't quite prepared for. So that was the end of that. So that all happened right about the same time that COVID walked in.
Yeah.
So that changed everybody's business. What you could do.
I think the entire clockwork, Direct Energy landscape of people all either got let go or transitioned. I mean, 95% of them aren't there anymore, right? So
Wow.
True.
Yeah.
A lot of talent, lost a lot of talent. I mean, that brain trust that to divorce yourself from stuff like that is just,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm sure that people smarter than me think that's a good idea.
I don't know. That was going to be my next question. Is there actually somebody smarter than you?
I can't think of anybody off the top of my head.
And I'm not saying in general, there's probably, there's, Albert Einstein and folks like him, but in the HVAC space, have you come across anybody that knows more about not only because you're the anomaly, right? So you not only, I think, the technical side of it, you're also equally as equipped to be the business side of it, which is almost never heard of, right? There isn't any, I've never asked Dave a question that he did not know the answer to. Ever.
Well, again, that might be a slight stretch. Well,
We don't
there
script
are
it on
there
this,
are
Dave. This podcast is all truth.
It's all
I can
fact.
tell you what it is. Dave is every bit as smart as that you're leading on, but it's the fact that he can communicate it in such a way to let you know,
Yeah,
like,
of
hey,
course I'm having some fun
the
with it,
communication skills there.
but there is you have a way to you, right? So and your technical ability, the way you'll look at a house, in front of a house, and load calculations and all the different things, and you can't sleep. Here's what you can't sleep at night knowing that has the wrong size ductwork in that house, right? If you're going to touch it.
Well, that's I think if there is a fun side of this business, I think that for me personally, that is the fun side of the business because, they call it an air conditioning system because it is a system. It's not in a box, it's not a part, it's not a piece, it's a whole system. And not only is it temperamental to those components of everything that's involved in the system, from the piping size to the ducting size to the choice of grills for the right throw and all those other disciplines that come in. But you've also got the variable of quality of installation.
Right.
Because as Chad and I have learned painfully, the best day of an air conditioner's life is day one. Okay. And if it's installed right, Chad and I have seen this where you'll see systems that were installed absolutely perfectly 30 years ago and they're still running.
Yeah,
Mhm.
They're still running. Okay.
that
Because they
that
were
kind of
installed
brings
right.
What's the
no, that brings me
there's a
to
metric to it where what percentage of the life of the air conditioning is based on install versus equipment choice?
Wow. I would say as if I looked at those two variables, I would say better than 75% of the deciding characteristic of how long a unit will last is based on the installation, and only 25% is based on the brand of equipment.
No, that's true. That's true. That's kind of why I brought you on today. Also, Dave, I like to run my mouth about myths in the industry, both from the homeowner side and from the technician side. So that's certainly a myth when it comes to homeowners. I mean, I just had to walk a homeowner down the road yesterday that preferred Train. Well, it's not that I don't like Train, but the local support for Train is horrible. So I choose not to do business with them. And I walked them through that myth yesterday, and they landed on my side. But what's some other myths from a homeowner's perspective? And then we'll get into the technicians here.
Well, I think there's a couple of them that are really, really big myths. I think the first one, and you mentioned it about brand. You can say, well, I drive a Ford. Well, you might drive a Pinto and you might drive a Pantera. They're both made by the Ford Motor Company.
Ooh, that was a cool car though.
Oh,
The Pinto? Yeah.
yeah, Firebomb.
You pick.
So clearly a Pinto is a shitbox from hell. Okay. And a Pantera is a rocket ship that they forgot to put the wings on. Okay.
Yeah.
So, but they both have a title that says Ford that comes in the glove compartment. And that's where people get bad information, or they try to educate themselves a little bit. And a little bit of education is dangerous because they say, well, I want a Ford or I want a Train or whatever. And the problem with that is all manufacturers, they don't prey on that, but they understand that there's different markets. There's new construction markets, which is only based on price. And then there's the retrofit market where somebody will pay more to get something that's half decent and everything in between. So I think one of the biggest mistakes that consumers or even contractors make is they associate quality with brand, and that's just not true.
Yeah.
And it's very, very, very much true what you said, Chad, that the quality of the product is really based on not only the installation we talked about a minute ago, but even the technical support you get from the local vendor, the wholesaler that's selling you the product. Because if they can't be there to help you, then you're really in trouble. I think too often what I've seen, and it's catastrophic, that contractors will recommend products to a consumer because if they sell enough product, they get to go on the cruise at the end of the year.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. And you go, well, whose best interest are they looking out for here? Okay.
How many cruises did you go on, Dave?
What do you say?
He went around the world.
Well, now that helps me because I tell Jim, you don't have to always wear Gucci, but he insists on it. He's like, he's a brand.
Anyway, I have a question. So why, why have NIPSCO here for where I live, for like our heating, whatever gas, I don't know what it is. But so for the thermostat system, they want you, there's a couple options you can pick from. So I have the Nest thermostat, and I know there's newer versions. Would you how would you rate that, like 1 to 10, or do you think I should just spend my own money and get the newest Nest, or how do you feel about those?
Ooh.
I think you should buy anything but a Nest.
They
That's a
they
wrap.
told me to get the Nest.
Wrap, Jim.
I told you.
No, really, they did actually.
They what? What'd you
I
say,
did.
Marissa?
I told you.
They want you to have like a
Of course they
Nest, or
do.
there was one other option.
Because they get to go on a cruise if they sell enough Nest thermostats.
Yeah.
Oh man. All right. So from a technician that's either in the field or looking to get into the field, what's the biggest myth out there for them?
I think that there's more than a correlation between knowledge and earning capacity. I think too often techs are unfortunately put into a role where they're not trained, and you've seen this, Chad, cruelly, that most technicians are professional part changers.
Oh, yeah.
They don't understand the aspects of and dynamics of diagnostics, because when a part fails, I mean, parts fail on their own. Sooner or later, a part fails. But 90% of the time when a part fails, there's a catalyst for that. Okay.
It's a symptom.
And that separates the part changer from a technician to be able to say, okay, the part is bad, but what caused it to fail? Because in my heart, as a technician, and I was a technician for many, many years, as a technician, if you didn't leave the job better than you found it, then you cheated the customer. I'm sorry,
Mhm.
you just cheated them. Okay, that's all you did.
Yep.
And so you got to find the reason why the part failed, and then a big part, and I think where companies miss the boat and technicians miss the opportunity, is they've got poor communication skills, and if they can't explain to the customer why the part failed and why there's a priority in making the additional corrective action so it doesn't happen again, then again they've cheated the customer, and in fact they've cheated themselves and their own family, because they walked away from an income opportunity to do the job right.
Yep. Yeah, it happens too often to where a technician will fail a part, and this is something that people that are watching our show, they can look out for this, because this is what Dave's talking about. A technician will fail a part. You authorize that part to be repaired. And then 30 minutes later, when they're done replacing that part, they come back and say, well, I also found that it's a different part. And that's what Dave's talking about, where they turn into a parts changer because they change one, it doesn't do anything, I change another, and finally the thing comes on. And somehow they think that's success. And they'll go on 4 or 5 years doing this under the radar. And that's one thing that drives me crazy, man.
I think the biggest thing that a tech can do is be more of a study of the building industry and understand the dynamics of a home. Because something that is so very true to either a new technician or a experienced technician here, that once we knock on that door, we kind of own whatever problems happen in that house going forward. If they got mold in the closet, well, I never had mold in my closet until you people worked at my house, or
Yeah.
and all this nonsense, right? So if you understand the dynamics of what's going on with homes, and it's really remarkably changed, because of energy being expensive, everybody wanted to insulate their homes better and better. In the old days, we had jalousie windows, right? That there was enough,
Yeah.
when the wind blew hard enough, you got air moving through the house.
Yeah.
But so we've gone to all these Super Duty windows and everything's sealed up. And ideally, you're thinking, I want this house to be as tight as an igloo cooler. I want to slam the lid and see the windows buckle a little bit. I want to keep everything in there that I've got, right?
Yeah,
Well,
we have negative pressure.
in the process, you seal everything in there with you. cat threw up on the carpet, dirty diapers, something cooking, whatever's going on, it's all sealed in there with you forever. So ASHRAE even tried to address that with ASHRAE 62.2 for bringing in fresh air.
Right.
Because we've really got to look at the dynamics of what's going on in that home, the air that you're breathing. There's all these synthetics that we bring in, all this off-gassing, off-carpet. And if you want a real experience or ever explain it to somebody, how long can you, if you've ever gone to a carpet store, how long can you stay in there before your eyes are just weeping?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like 20 minutes?
Yep.
Because of all the off-gassing from all the fire retardants and dyes and everything else that's in that air.
It's like going to Jim's house because of the diapers and the cats.
Well, yeah. And my puke. Not the cat. I blame the cat.
All right. Sorry.
So I think the landscape has changed. And I think that a smart technician can really help customers, really help their company, and help themselves by recognizing those dynamics in the home. What's really going on with positive and negative airflow pressures in the home.
Yep.
And properly ventilating that home and cleaning that air and restoring it.
Yeah. So what the biggest point that you made earlier about communication skills, if a technician that is smart enough to know all of these things makes those recommendations after he's following up after 3 other companies that the customers had out there that have had 0 to 1 recommendations, this guy comes with this long list of things. If he can't properly communicate that, he's just going to be labeled as a ripoff artist, scammer.
Yeah.
So it all goes hand in hand, doesn't it, Dave?
It absolutely does. Hey, listen, I want to offer a disclaimer. I kind of badmouthed Nest a minute ago. And they deserve it.
Yep.
Are
you reading from the script that they just sent you from Google?
One of my the reason I have an attitude about Nest is Google did not buy Nest because they wanted to be in the thermostat business. Google bought Nest because they're in the customer acquisition business. So as a business owner, okay, if I put in the time to do and the money to do marketing and to hire people and to pay people to put the Nest unit in and to buy it and service it when it goes bump in the night and all that good stuff, if I'm going to do all that, check the paperwork that comes with Nest. You only own that customer for 3 years. After 3 years, they own that customer. So you'd have to have a death wish as a contractor to do that to yourself.
There's the disclaimer.
There's a reason.
Right.
There's a
You're off
reason
the
not
hook
to
now,
install
Dave.
Nest. I know.
All right.
I just don't like competing against Nest.
It's pretty hard
I
to
know,
compete.
getting up in the middle of the night.
Yeah. No, it's a cool start. But Morris, to his point, there are a lot of really, really good thermostats without all the extra hair on it, right? When it comes to all that.
Ecobee, Sensi, Emerson. There's a lot of nice ones out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, the new Honeywell line is remarkable.
Yeah.
It's called Residio.
I think my mom just got a new Honeywell.
Yeah, the Honeywell Residio, the new line, it even monitors the indoor air quality while it's running.
That's really nice.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's and you know what they charge for monitoring? $1 a year. I don't even know why they bother to put that in place. It's got to
I'll have
cost.
to look at that.
It's got to cost them more than $1 just to collect the dollar.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
So
But that's nice, especially trying to be like non-toxic and knowing what the air quality is.
let's talk about that a little bit, Dave. Let's talk about IAQ.
Mhm.
I know you're a big proponent of it. What would you recommend in a home? Just for a standard home, what type of IAQ products would you recommend?
Well, I think before you talk product specific, you got to talk some core disciplines. You can't have indoor air quality if you can't move the air. Would you agree, Chad?
Absolutely. You're going to get into the pillars of air quality.
If you can't move the air, and see here's the fail. There is no code. I repeat, no code. Pick a state, all 50 of them. There's no code for ductwork. So if you got ductwork from your new construction contractor, from your builder, you got the cheapest ductwork they could buy, just like your particle board cabinets and your carpet. They got the cheapest stuff that the builder could put in because he's just looking to make a buck. Okay. So the number one premise for indoor air quality is duct sizing. You got to move the right amount of air, and you got to have a return in every bedroom. Hell, that's even the new building code. But everybody cheats with that because they'll put a return in the bedroom, but it doesn't go anywhere. They only put what's called a jumper duct. They jump a duct from bedroom 1 to 2 to 3 to 4. And it's an insult to anybody that has any intelligence at all because it doesn't work. Okay. It doesn't even work on paper. It's just bad. So to answer your question, Jim, my go-to for indoor air quality products is number one, duct sizing. Get your duct sizing done right. In fact, here's something critical fail that nobody wants to talk about. When the ducts are undersized, because I'm telling you, you could put a 2-ton duct system on a 5-ton unit, and it will physically work. Okay, you will have a boatload of undesirable side effects, but it will physically work. And the customer doesn't even know they've got these side effects because they never had good, so they don't know what good and bad is. They just think it's always supposed to be so loud that they have to turn the TV up every time the air comes on. No, you're not supposed to have to do that. Okay, because or they've got ghosts that their bedroom door keeps closing in the middle of the night when the air comes on. No, that's God's hand trying to tell you your ductwork is screwed up. Okay, so the number one component is duct sizing and airflow. Now, beyond duct sizing and airflow, then you could talk about different MERV ratings for filters, but the real characteristic of air filtration is area, face area. Okay, so in other words, if you took a 24 by 24 return air filter grill, well, you've got 4 square feet of filter area, right? Everybody shake their head and go, "Yep, that's math." Okay,
I'll double check it after the
all right. So you got 4 square feet, 6 square feet of filter area, depending on if you got a 20 by 30 or whatever you got. So what I've got, and as a testimonial, what I've got in my own house that I paid for, okay, is I like the media filters. Now, the brand I prefer is the April Air. But the April Air has got 27 square feet of filter media. 27. Okay, you only change it once a year.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you might change it more often if you got dogs or cats or if you're doing a lot of cooking, just because it holds odors and stuff by itself, right? Like a vacuum cleaner bag would. But you got 27 square feet of media. So it's doing 5, 6, 10 times the air filtration that the air filters that you buy at Home Depot and Lowe's will do.
Without compromising the airflow.
Is it still the same size filter, or is it like a 4-inch or a 6-inch?
No, it's going to be a 4-inch. Yep. Yeah, it's going to be a 4-inch or 5-inch accordion that Troy's talking about. Right. It physically looks like a suitcase. Okay. I mean, it's large. It has to be installed properly. But you do it without the pressure drop. And this is where I said it's an ugly truth. Systems are rated, okay, where everything has a SEER number, right? SEER, that's seasonal energy efficiency ratio. For people that aren't familiar with it, that's the equivalent of miles per gallon. So when I say miles per gallon, I say, well, I put in a gallon of gas and I can go 20 miles, right? Everybody knows that's 20 miles a gallon. Well, SEER works the same way. I put in a kilowatt of energy, of electricity, and I get so many BTUs out. That's SEER, okay? So the higher the SEER number, the more efficient the unit is. Just like the higher the miles per gallon number, the more efficient that car engine is. Well, that's all rated at perfect conditions. Just like the car, when you buy it on the lot and it's got the miles per gallon on the window, it says it gets 25 miles a gallon. Well, that's all with perfectly inflated tires rolling down a road with the wind behind you. Okay. So that's how they came up with that mileage. Well, they do the same thing with air conditioning units.
Your results may vary.
So when they rate air conditioning units, they have to rate them with hooked up to ductwork, but they hook it up to perfect ductwork, rated at a 0.1. So now all of a sudden it's hooked up to some bullshit ductwork that some jackleg did for this new construction. And when the static pressure hits 0.5, you can write this down and take it to the bank. When the static pressure hits 0.5, that's how hard the fan is pushing the air. When the static pressure hits 0.5, you lose 2 points in SEER. Okay, so that 16 or 18 or 20 SEER unit that you bought, you say, woo, I'm going to pay extra for it, but I'm going to get my return on my investment. No, not if you don't have your ductwork sized properly. And that's where people get cheated every damn day. And it breaks my heart that contractors, I think half the contractors are, I think they're either ignorant of this fact or they know better, but they're nefarious and they don't care.
It's the latter, and they don't want to put forth the effort and energy to train their guys either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, preach on, brother. Preach
Well,
on, man.
I think everybody already knows all of that about SEER. I'm just kidding. So
Your average homeowner knows that.
They do now after watching this show.
All right, so let me ask you a question, just a generic, so it's been talking about for a long time, the labor shortage, right? So the blue collar labor shortage, is it real or is it a hiring problem? Is it a training problem? What's your take on the blue collar space, hiring?
Well, I think we've got a catastrophic problem to start with, and that we've got to make up for. As we all know, the trades fell out of favor, from the guidance counselors in high school saying, Johnny, if you're not going to college, you're a failure. So I think that set things in motion. And I think technology has played against us where every kid in high school thinks they're going to be a computer programmer because they're good with their thumbs working games at home. Okay. And they think they're going to be a computer programmer instead of working with their hands and actually getting results and taking care of themselves and their family and creating a job and wealth. And you can do that in this industry if you get the right training. Okay. But with the right training, we can. So to answer your question, is it a real problem? I think it's a real problem because when McDonald's is paying $18 and $20 for somebody to say, do you want fries with that? Then, it's raised the bar of what we've got to pay people to get in an attic and do tough work.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, so are we running out of, is it because it on one hand, you hear employers saying, I need more people, need more people, but they all seem very resistant with hiring young, new students, right?
Yeah. What I've seen is oftentimes because they're frustrated, they got to have help. They got to have people out there. They resort to this. Well, I'll hire them and train them myself.
Mm-hmm.
You go, oh, that's awesome. Okay. So
Chad says that all the time.
Yeah. So, typically a contractor has a new hire ride with a good employee for a week, a month, a year, whatever, to kind of learn the trade and figure it out. And that's not training. That's tribal learning. Okay. And all they do is pick up all the bad habits from that guy because hell, he didn't know what the hell he was doing. Okay. So that's a fail. And that's where we need a little bit of technology, that you tap, Troy.
Yeah.
With blue collar to be sure that because guys have got to have the basics. You've got to have core disciplines and understanding of what's going on with the system. Otherwise, you're a part changer. You're never going to make any money. You're going to be frustrated. You're going to have a lot of callbacks. You're not going to make happy customers. You're not going to make a living. But if you can get the right training under your belt so that you can make the difference to be able to do diagnostics of what caused that part to fail, and then have the soft skills training to tie with that, to be able to sit down with the customer and say, let me show you what's going on. Because a big part of our job as a technician is educating our customers. That's maybe the biggest part.
Yeah.
And I think that's a pretty big myth too, or I guess maybe it's not a myth, but I think that there's a misunderstanding about when people want to get into the trades. If they enter into the residential side, they had no idea that they had to diagnose the customer, communicate with the customer too. and sometimes they're just not cut out for it,
Yeah.
even with the right
Hey,
training.
hey, Chad, you mentioned residential. I do want to put out a caveat there that there's a lot of guys that, and this is a huge myth. I think you're going to probably ahead in a second here that for some reason it's allowed to exist that if you're really, really, really a good tech, you'd be a commercial tech.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you go, what the hell are you talking about? Now, and I tell you what, there are certain people that need to be commercial techs. If you're an introvert,
Yeah.
okay, and maybe and if you like standing in snow on a rooftop and making friends with pigeons, then you should be a commercial tech.
There's a lot of them, apparently. There's a lot of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What if
But
you're scared of pigeons?
but
They can
there's
be
there's
scary.
no particular glory in doing commercial work. It's
Where's the money? Where's the money?
residential techs that can communicate, that can identify problems and build remedies. There's where the money is. Hell, Chad, I've had maintenance technicians that are making $200,000 a year. Maintenance techs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I've had $1 million salespeople that I only allowed to do maintenance, because of they do communication so well, with the customers, and they were able to accept the training. So they spend their entire year going to one maintenance call a day and turning it to a super average ticket.
Yeah.
Uh,
And you know what? It's not jacking people up. It's not selling people stuff they don't need.
right.
But you know what's happened is, I mean, between all the, and products really have gotten better over the years. They really, really have. Products are so much more reliable and they work under the worst of conditions that they shouldn't even work under. But if we're going to leave a home better than we find it, we're now in the energy business. We got to be looking at what's going on with their attic ventilation, what's going on with their heat load on their home, what's going on with their fresh air makeup to ASHRAE 62.4. There's a lot of ways that we can improve a customer's home for them.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a huge myth too with the homeowners. We started talking about earlier about how the air conditioning system can be cooling and they don't think anything's wrong. And you kind of lifted the skirt up on the industry a little while ago because they've made the equipment so robust. It's almost like they did it in mind that the technicians won't be able to solve the problems correctly. So they have to compensate. I mean, think about a variable speed, a true variable speed ECM motor, and on an undersized duct system, go below 2000 CFM through 2 tons of ductwork, just because they know that the technician's not going to care enough to remedy the situation. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
it'll do it. It'll do it.
Yeah.
So, back to your question, Jim, about IAQ. So my first go-to is you got to move the air. So that gets into duct sizing and duct placement and even grill sizing. Okay, there's different grills, okay, for different applications to move the air properly. I mean, if you look at the grill book, a certain grill only throws air so far. Okay, so you got to have the right grill in the right place at the right time so you get the right results. And then you just can't put air into a room. You got to get the air back out of the room. So you got to have a return in every room except the bathroom and kitchen, of course.
Right.
But that's properly done. And I can tell you, my house, there's a return in every room. Imagine that. Okay. So back to your inquiry. The first concept of IAQ is you gotta have the air moving. So that's a ducting issue. Okay, a duct sizing issue and an application issue. Then secondly, you got to sterilize the air. And the only way you can sterilize air is with a UV system. Okay. And you got to have 180 microwatts. If you don't have 180 microwatts, all you've got is a paperweight. Okay. It's not going to clean the air. It's not going to do anything all those claims of fame and, technology approved by NASA. It's bullshit right to the bottom. Okay. If you don't have 180 microwatts, you are not killing bacteria. And ASHRAE even put out a paper on it. You got to have a killing zone that is 3 feet wide. And That's the ASHRAE spec. They nailed it down, and to get there, the only way to get there is with 180 microwatts. And there's a couple manufacturers that produce product that will do that. I have my favorites.
It's not Nest, right? The how do you think, so there's, so going back to one of the questions around just the blue collar trades and, just is it a myth that these jobs are coming, going? I mean, so we hear things that there's, every day there's 3 people retiring, 1 coming in. So there's just a daily shortage, right? So, and where are they going to come from? It does seem as of late that AI is interrupting a lot of things for a lot of good reasons and a lot of challenging reasons. And I don't think anybody has put their finger on exactly how that's going to impact. But I think early signs are saying it's impacting white collar jobs much faster than blue collar jobs, right? And it kind of makes sense. So like you said, the programmers, now they got AI that can do it 10 times faster, right? Marketing people, different things that it's just not that it's not needed. It's just they could be more efficient with less, right? So where do you think, so we talk about AI on this podcast quite a bit, but where do you sit in the AI world, right?
Well, I think AI is a nice tool in your toolbox. There are some AI products out there that technicians can use right on their phones when they got a problem in the field. They can kind of dial it up and say, "Well, I got a problem. Here's what's going on." That will give you hints. But if you don't understand, if you don't have the training behind you to understand the diagnostics to start with, it's not going to fix it for you.
Right.
Okay. It's
Right.
you're still going to need that training. And that's where you fall in, with your products, Troy, with blue collar, that you've got to give these guys this core disciplines of training. And, quite frankly, it makes you AI proof because you can take that knowledge in that training and you can transport it whether you're working in Washington State or Key West. Okay. It's the same air conditioning system, the same heating system, the same disciplines are used in every part of the country. So it makes you very transportable.
Yeah.
Yep.
Using
I just wonder how many of those, because the industry's already produced so many parts changers as we was talking about. And, I believe you're right. Like I use AI in the field for convenience. If I need to know what a trouble code is that I don't have a manual for or something I'm not familiar
Mhm.
with. But as well as I do, those same people that are parts changer, well, the next generation is going to be ones going out there only fixing through AI and causing the same mess that the parts changers do, I believe. I don't
Well,
be negative.
particularly when you look at everything as I said at the beginning of our dialogue, that it's a system. Everything's got to work together. Like I had a technician I was trying to help, and he recently diagnosed a compressor as being defective, grounded. And in fact, it wasn't grounded at all. The electrical fitting coming through the side of the unit wasn't properly assembled, and the
Oh,
Romex wire had worn on there, and he was improperly testing the compressor, and he
yeah,
was reading the ground through the shorted wire going through the case,
sure.
and had made condemned the compressor. It was going to cost the customer thousands of dollars to find out he made a bad diagnostic.
Yeah. And that's what's missing is that
Yeah,
pillar of training that like we need to get down to if it's showing it's grounded at the wiring, fine, but now let's get down to the compressor. And something has to tell their brain to do that.
yeah,
And
and
it ain't sure ain't gonna be AI.
AI is not going to grasp that because there's just too many variables.
Yeah, for sure.
Just too many variables.
So earlier we talked about your journey, right? So, so it made me think about, and we, there's lots of, none of us have been in the business as long as you have, but in the last 20 years or so, maybe even less than that, 15 years, private equity has come into the space pretty aggressively, right?
Yeah.
All right. So you're honest. You haven't held back yet. So is that a good thing or bad thing for the industry?
I don't think private equity is evil. Okay. I think that oftentimes, and perhaps the majority of times, I think that They are misdirected. I look at private equity almost like a bank. Chad, if you and I had a company, we wanted to buy 10 new trucks and really hit the market running, and we needed $2, $3, $5 million, right? We would go to the bank and we would get a loan, and we would have to be disciplined so that we did things right so we could pay the loan back. That's called being responsible. All right. Well, private equity is that bank. Okay. They come to us and say, what do you need to be successful? You say, well, I need the 10 new trucks or whatever. So they get you going with that. Now, private equity in its purest form can really leverage some remarkable events for consumers and employees because they get better buying power. Okay, that buying power, everything from insurance for your people to better buying power on your trucks, maybe even your materials, and they can even noodle, some rebates back from the vendors because they're talking bigger numbers. They get better attention. So to that point, they can drive a lot of profitability and really bring better business disciplines into that marketplace, but more accountability.
Mhm.
And that's where they should stop and count their money and shut up. Okay. But instead, the private equity companies, what they do the equivalent of strip mining. Okay, strip mining, if you're not familiar with the term, that's when industrial companies come in and there was a mountain there and they keep slicing pieces of the mountain off and they strip all the minerals out and then they go to the next mountain. That's strip mining, okay? And that's what private equity companies do. And they go into a business with the equivalent of strip mining and they tear up the customer base, they destroy it, all the way to fraud, and condone it.
Hmm.
Condone fraud.
Like what? Give me an
Yeah,
example
they
of
do.
that.
They reward people for poor behaviors of condemning equipment that
Okay.
isn't bad.
Yeah.
Okay.
To make a profit.
And
Yeah.
and they reward the employee for that. And
Yeah.
if you're an employee and you work at that company, here you are, you're working your ass off, you're doing a good job. This guy's getting rewards and he's doing nefarious activities, but he's getting rewarded for it. Okay. So you end up losing your talented people with morals, number one. Okay. And, that's why Chad and I don't work for some of those companies
Mm-hmm.
because they're just bad. So I think PE can go too far in raising that bar on those kind of expectations. I mean, I've been in those arenas, those PE arenas, where you have some absolute nefarious activities. And the first question that senior management asks is, well, how many leads does he turn in?
Yeah.
What does that have to do with anything we were just talking about?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Well, that can
Yeah.
happen. That can happen in any place, but yeah, it's especially, because if the ultimate goal is to buy it, flip it, and resell it, it's just like a homeowner or a house flipper, right? They're going to go in there and they're going to do everything humanly possible to shine it up and resell it, right? That's the goal,
Yeah.
right? So not all of them, not
Yeah.
some keep them for much, much longer and try to build something special. But yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So
That's
I
human
think
nature.
that's the challenge for private equity. I think that they start rewarding the wrong behaviors.
Yeah.
And instead of looking at the long-term customer growth, they just don't have a long-term plan. Their plan is 5 years.
Yeah. That's
Polish that turd up and sell it.
I think that's where you nailed it. When most business owners, so if Jim wanted to, put a shingle on the wall set and call it Jim's air conditioning, Jim's his 5-year plan isn't to, hey, hopefully I can sell it in 5 years. It would be to, hey, I want to build something cool and special and maybe hand it off to my kids or do something like that. Right. That's usually where these things start. So, okay. All right. So Mr. Marissa, have you learned more about air conditioning in the last 60 minutes than you ever thought you would? She
Yeah,
can't stop thinking about her Nest thermostat and how quickly she's going to take it off her wall.
I
Yeah.
know. I wrote down actually the filter brand or that you said.
Aprilaire.
Yeah.
I told you to get rid of the thermostat last week, but now that Dave says it, we're
Yeah.
getting rid of the thermostat. Okay.
Oh, I'm tired of waking up in the middle of the night and turning it up.
She's got
It's
the
so
eco
annoying.
thing turned on, so it's got the sensors and everything.
I thought you were going to call Chad and get that fixed.
Never
He
called.
didn't answer his phone.
You never called me.
Yeah, I did.
I did. Okay.
You
Oh,
didn't
Dave,
answer.
he'll answer. Marissa, Dave will answer.
Dave will
Okay,
answer.
thank you,
Dave will
Dave.
answer. All right. So let's go around the horn and let you know. So, Jim, one more question for Dave.
Yeah.
I want to know. Well, there's so many things I want to know, but one thing, Troy, I want to correct you about something you said earlier. You said that, there was a lot of smart people like, Albert Einstein. Well, Dave actually worked with Albert Einstein, and Albert Einstein was stuck. He kept saying M equals or E equals MC,
He kept blowing a fan across a block of ice.
And Dave went square, and he
Obviously.
goes, "That's it, squared."
That's it.
So that was
no
Dave.
idea.
That wasn't Albert.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
That's gonna cost you a bacon invite.
there you go. Some peanut butter on your BLT, right?
Is that your question, Jim?
Anyway, I just want to thank Dave for being here, and it's a pleasure always to catch up and talk to him. I'm going to be calling you because in our new home we're looking at some IAQ things, so I want to give you a shout, talk to you about that. But good seeing you, my friend.
Well, it is true. One thing for sure that you said is true, Troy, and that is that Chad and I are both very passionate about this business, and we're passionate about it being done right, because it doesn't take a whole lot of time and effort to do it right.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, sometimes you actually have to focus on not doing it right, for God's sake.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, just do it right and put it behind you.
Yeah. Exactly.
All right, Chad.
Very good.
Chad, I know you're chomping at the bit. What's one more thing you want to learn from Dave?
I've already talked to Dave quite a bit. One of Dave and I's favorite pastimes is to get on the phone and commiserate about bad technicians and bad contractors. We do that on the regular. So no, I'm happy you came on. I knew that everybody would get a kick out of listening to you just kind of reiterate and validate the things that I've been saying, just in case anybody.
It just seems more clear, and I understand it better now.
I understand it so much better when Dave says it.
Now I believe it when he says.
Marissa just texted me. She goes, "You're like the hillbilly version of Dave Borowski." So, no, I got a question. When are we going fishing, man? Let's go, brother.
There you go. Okay, Marissa, I know you have a question or two.
Yeah, Dave, one, what's your phone number so I can call you? The Chad doesn't answer. But two, my second question is, so what's your favorite tool to use, or like what's your go-to
if you could have one
tool? You mean for technical
tool? No, like tool, like I'm a hammer,
like Naked and Afraid.
tool.
What's the tool? Yeah,
tool.
Yeah.
Screwdriver.
Wow. I really like the Field Piece line of tools. I think that they are the best built, the most dependable quality tool, particularly their Bluetooth tools that you can
Which
do.
one?
The Bluetooth tools. They've got a line of Bluetooth tools that you can do enthalpy with, and enthalpy separates the men from the boys. I'll tell you right now.
Okay, I'm gonna write that down too.
Yeah,
you should get one, Marissa.
Trade secret. That's a trade secret of ours over
here.
Go
with your tape measure.
Yeah.
He just said a bunch of words I don't even know what he's talking about. So
I know.
Yeah, what is
it's
that?
The real. It's how you're. It's the real performance of your air conditioning system.
What does it do? How does it work? Real quick.
It's the heat content in a pound of air.
Yeah.
And what you do is, there's been this myth in this air conditioning industry, and I can say it with passion. You know how passionate a reformed smoker is, right? If you've ever known anybody that's a reformed smoker, they can be in a car and somebody 20 feet from them in a different car is smoking, and they go, "I can smell them smoking," right? Okay. Well, I'm passionate about TD like that. TD is the term for temperature drop.
Yeah.
Okay. And forever in this industry, people had used TD, and they said, "Well, how's the unit working?" And they said, "Well, it's got a 15-degree TD. It's working great." You go, "That's got nothing to do with nothing. Why don't you tell me what color paint is on the unit?" Okay. Because that's also got nothing to do with nothing. Okay. So TD, and that's the real tell. If you guys are talking to a technician, interviewing them or the like, and they say, well, what kind of TD were you running? They say, oh, great TD, 12, 15, 20 degree TD. That is bullshit to the bottom, because TD means this side of nothing. Because if it was 8-degree TD and I wanted it to be 20, I'll just slow the damn blower down. I'll make it be whatever you want.
Right.
Okay. It's got nothing to do with nothing. So what separates you when you start talking about enthalpy and the field piece tools is they're even wireless, for God's sake. That's where I said talk about adopting technology.
Yeah.
You just pop these units onto the ductwork. It ties right to your phone. It'll tell you, instead of saying, well, the unit's 15-degree TD, which means nothing, it'll tell you, I can look at it and say, well, Marissa, you've got a 3-ton unit. It should be producing 36,000. Yours, unfortunately, is producing 21,211.
Oh,
Isn't that awesome?
Okay.
Do you have one, Chad? Do you have one of these?
No, yeah, I do. And
Do you
we've
share it with
always
anybody on
had
your
the
team?
ability. John, David, we all have them.
Okay.
So what's exciting about that line of tools is that through a lot of math and a lot of training, you could come up with this, but it's a lot of training, a lot of math, took a lot of time. This does it like that. And it's easier to show the customer, and they think it's easier for them to understand it and easier for them to believe it.
Yeah. The only piece of data you
It's
have
not
to
just
feed
you
in,
saying
it
it. It's
requires,
like, look at this. Yeah.
yeah.
it requires a third tool from field piece, and that's the hot wire anemometer.
Yep.
Because that's the only way to know what your airflow is, unless you invest $3,000 in a true flow grid.
No, we use it, we love it, and it really helps tell the story. Yeah.
Okay, so my question for Mr. Dave is, what are you doing now? So what's the latest? I know you.
Well, so during the COVID years, I started my own consulting company. It's Point Man Consulting, and I help companies that are in trouble when they're just not making money, and I straighten it out.
Yeah. How do you like that? So
Very
you've
good.
gone all the way, and now here you are. You're back to business coach, right? Technical
Yeah.
coach. So do
Yeah.
you?
Helping others.
Yeah. I'll bet you love it.
I do love it, and it's really rewarding. Every job is different. Sometimes it's the son that took over the business. Sometimes it's a company trying to get themselves ready to be sold.
Yeah.
And they're trying to figure out what's going. And I am passionate about maintenance contracts. Maintenance contracts are really, if you want to know how healthy you were, well, you take your blood pressure, right? Your blood pressure tells a doctor how healthy you are overall, gives them a real glimpse of what's
Snapshot.
going on
Yep.
in your body. Your maintenance contract count is the equivalent of blood pressure.
Mm-hmm.
It tells you whether or not you're a fairly healthy company. And if you say, well, I've got 5,000 contracts, you say, whoa, I like it. How many did you have last year? I had 5,000. Do you ever sell contracts? They go, yeah, we sell a lot of them. Well, clearly you're losing a lot of them.
Okay, so let me add it so that you're and PE and anybody that's looking to sell a company, that's one of the first things they're going to look at. What's that subscription service look like? That automatic money, right? So what's the magic number?
It's that reoccurring revenue, but it's not just the reoccurring revenue, because maintenance contracts, price wise, end up being a race to the bottom.
Yeah.
I mean, they're one of the largest players in the nation is doing maintenances right now for $8.99. Well, what are you going to do it for? Just $7.99? I mean, how are you going to beat them at this game?
Yeah. So is there a number per million, just as an HVAC company or a plumbing company in the home services space that you kind of guideline people to?
Yeah, I think and it's a very rough number, but
Sure.
if you don't have 1,000 contracts per $1 million in revenue, something is wrong. Now there could be some variables there, commercial comes into play, that can drive it in a different direction.
Yeah.
But quite frankly, your maintenance contracts is like printing money, because if you can disconnect yourself from that big black hole we call marketing, okay, and stop spending money on marketing, you've already got AC 101 is get customers. But how about wait, hold this thought. How about keeping them?
Right.
What a thought.
Yeah. Do you have what are your thoughts on monthly maintenance plans, paid versus annual?
Well, I know the monthly plan fills a remarkable niche need, and that is that people generally look at subscription services just like we're paying for, you pay for your Amazon account, every month it's debited to your account, or your Netflix or whatever you're getting. It's always at $12 or $14 a month.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a much more palatable way to do business. And it is streamlined now. You can automate that billing every month. So the monthly billing seems to uh, really hit a particular niche. And I think, and I'm working with a company recently that has really mastered that. And I was enamored with what they're doing, because they've got one plan that just takes care of your maintenance. They've got another plan that takes care of your maintenance and your labor. They've got a third plan that's your maintenance, your labor, and your parts.
Hmm.
And then and so that really doesn't differ too much from everything else that everybody in the industry offers, except they've really nailed this. They've got their top plan that includes their maintenance, their labor, their parts, and your appliances in your home.
Hmm.
Okay. And the trick with a maintenance program, and we could
So
have a whole
they're
show
playing
about
in the
maintenance
home
programs.
warranty space a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But they do it in 1-year blocks so they can avoid the issues with funding and stuff like that. So that's really the hook, because it's unique, and they can capture that customer because it covers their washer, their dryer, their refrigerator, their laundry equipment. It's all bundled in there, and it's for like $480 a year.
Hmm.
Clearly it is. I think where people make a mistake is looking at their maintenance plans as a profit center, and they are not.
Not by themselves, they're not. No.
No, you're right, Troy. I mean, if Uber has to charge you 30, $40 to take you across town, how are you going to make money at $7.99 or $8.99 to come out and spend an hour or two at your house cleaning your air conditioner?
Right.
Okay. So maintenances are not a profit center. They are a customer acquisition and a customer retention tool.
That's it. Always has been, right? Yeah. Hasn't changed that much, but that's an interesting approach that your client has. So, and anybody that wants to get a hold of Dave, we'll make sure that they have your contact information and everything too. So,
One of the most unique things in the industry, Troy, that is troublesome universally across every state, every contractor, is every contractor in the world hates air filters. Air filters are like the biggest suckers game in the world. Okay, because you never have the right filter at the right place at the right time, ever.
yeah.
Okay, because there's just too many different types and sizes. So what I've done is I've got a system that I can put into a contractor's place of business, that you will have an air filter on the truck for every unit in North America. So you make it a one-time trip. The closest thing that the industry offers right now is you can put the people on a filter plan, and I'll take down your filter sizes, and in a week or two, you're going to get a box shipped to you. Well, in a high percentage of cases, that just creates a callback, because now you got to go back with a 10-foot ladder, don't you, Chad?
Yeah.
Now you got to go back with a 10-foot ladder to put that filter in, or the filters got there and they were measured a little bit wrong and they don't quite fit, or they got rained on the customer's front porch, and now you're getting the grief of the call, or they got
Speaking my love
stolen off
language.
Yeah. Well, that's a nice little teaser for us, Dave. I like it.
So I've got a program that will put a filter on your truck for every home in North America.
Every single one. Even Marissa's?
One-time call. Nobody likes B-backs.
There you go. Chad, are you aware of this?
No. Because when Dave started talking about it, I was like, God, I'm one of those guys that hates filters.
I know you do.
I hate them.
Yeah.
I hate them.
Well,
And
because
it's for all of those reasons right there that he just said.
yeah. And it is different markets for different things, right? So up north where I cut my teeth, there was most of the systems were in the basement, and most of them had a 16 by 25 or a 20 by 25, right? So in the South, there's 15 different sizes in every house. Yeah, impossible. Until now, apparently. All right. Well,
That's
Dave,
true.
I can't thank you for enough for the time. And is there any other last parting words you want to share?
Well, just that I think a lot of contractors have gotten out of favor with extended warranties, and I think that's a mistake. And in fact, I've cracked that code because there are no, you might say, well, I'm getting the carrier extended warranty or the train extended warranty. No, you're not. Okay, there's only one warranty provider in America, and that's AIG. Short of AIG, it's Amana is the only people that write their own paper. So I've actually cracked that code to help people with that, where I can lock you down to that customer. And that's really what it's about. It's get the customer and keep the customer.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. Chad, you're going to just need to spend more time with Dave. Take him fishing. Pick his brain.
Well,
Yeah.
Suck the brain.
yeah, it's been a while since you really caught up, man.
Yeah.
You know,
I don't want to
when
go
we-
fishing with Chad. I want to go fishing with Chad's son. I've seen the pictures of the fish he
No
catches.
kidding.
Chad's son got a
Yeah.
girlfriend. He doesn't fish anymore.
Yeah, can you believe it? I mean, every day I was putting out pictures of prehistoric snook. And one day my son was heading out to go fishing and he smelled like cologne. And I told my wife, I'm like, he's not fishing today. He's hunting.
Different,
And,
he's, different kind of prey.
I was
Yeah.
telling my wife this. I don't even know how it came up. I think because of your camping trip this weekend. I said, it's funny listening to Chad talk about, because we all talk about our kids and it's just different things. And he's like, I might as well just sell my boat now, right? He won't fish with me. Just like,
He just said that at the beginning of this fall.
yeah, it was funny.
He's gonna sell it.
Yeah. He'll never go fishing with me ever again. It's all good. All right. Well, thank you, Dave. I appreciate it very much. Well done. Thank you for coming on our show. We'll have you
Thank you,
again.
Bill.
It's awesome.
Thanks, Dave.
I'd be glad to lend a hand anytime that I can help.
All right. Thank you.
appreciate you, brother.
Thank you, buddy.
All right. Hang on one second.
Bye, kids.